anything you want with religion. I mean, one of the things about religion is it's not falsifiable, as Karl Popper would have it. I mean, there's interpretive ways that we can look at religion always. The Quran says in a verse, kill the polytheists wherever you find them. I mean, that's in the Quran. Well, it's in the Bible as well. The Old Testament says when you go into a village, don't leave anything breathing, not even animals. I mean, that's in the Old Testament. Jesus said, I haven't come to bring peace, I've come to bring war. He said, if you don't have a sword, then sell your garment and buy a sword. I mean, Jesus said, I came to separate father from son. So I can take those and I can say, well, I can't talk to my father. Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. So I don't go to my parents' funeral. So we have many ways of reading Scripture. But that is why you have a normative scholastic tradition in Islam. In Judaism, you have rabbis. And none of these people that are interpreting the Quran this way, they don't have ulama that are at any serious level. And I think with the exception, I would say that the suicide bombing is a real problem. I find that that is a deeply rooted problem. I cannot for the life of me understand, and I have been in debates with people that I would consider scholars. I've been in debates with them about the issue, and I can't for the life of me understand how some of the Muslim scholars have validated that act.
They would say that's because you're a Californian liberal by birth and tradition. But they would say that you cannot understand
not true.
The economic and political desperation that would lead. That's what they would say, isn't it?
No, it's not what they would say, because there are many Muslim scholars. For instance, Saudi Arabia, that's always brought out as, the bad and evil guy. Their ulama have consistently issued fatwas over the years since the first suicide bombings that it is absolutely prohibited in the religion of Islam. And that has not been their state official position. It is their state official position, but it's not because of that. They have had scholars within their own tradition that completely reject the concept of suicide and of murdering women and children and non-combatants. And there are many scholars, my own teacher, my first and primary teacher, was against suicide bombing. So there are certain scholars that have sanctioned that, and I can't for the life of me see how they've done that. But it's not because I'm progressive and from California. It's because I've studied the Islamic tradition, and I have come to my own conclusions about that. I mean, it's not helping Islam. It's not helping the Palestinians. It's not helping anybody. It's harming the religion of Islam.
You've made absolutely clear your condemnation of September 11th, the suicide bombers, but 2 days before that, when you said in a speech, this country is facing a terrible fate, the reason for that is that this country, America, stands condemned. What did you mean by that?
I was actually speaking, I really was speaking, I was actually quoting some verses of Quran, and I didn't say fate, I said tribulation. And I said, in the same speech, I said the tribulation is actually already here if people look deeply enough. And I was talking about just the overall moral decay of our culture and society, the breakdown of families, the breakdown. It just...
What was about what? Gay marriages, Hollywood, what?
I would just say we have some of the highest rates of depression. We have some of the highest rates of divorce. Our young people are really suffering. I really believe that. I did not in any way mean it just happened to be right before September 11th. If I would reiterate that, I would say the entire world is facing an immense tribulation. I mean, I feel it in my bones. I just feel like we have ignored so much of what we should be focusing on as human beings, that when armaments and drugs are the two largest industries on the planet, I think something's very seriously wrong with the human project. So that's really what I'm talking about. I have never condoned violence ever in the name of Islam. When I've spoken about jihad, and I have, and I believe in jihad, I have always understood jihad to be the highest principle of struggle against what's wrong in the world. I've never understood it to mean the violent use of indiscriminate violence against innocents and civilians and things like that. I've understood it to be a spiritual struggle within the heart, as well as a social struggle in activism and martial struggle when it is appropriate.
One of the big issues for the next decade is going to be the way in which Islam and the West will coexist, as separate entities, but also together in countries. What is your attitude now towards Holland? They've tried to build a secular society in which there was freedom of speech, there was freedom of religious expression. What happened is that a film director called Theo van Gogh, he used his freedom of expression to make a film attacking Islam. In as much as we understand it, a Muslim then used their freedom of expression to kill him. Now that is a really dangerous and difficult situation, isn't it?
I think whatever Theo van Gogh was doing, it's unfortunate that he used, for me, it is sacrilegious to put the Quran with a naked body. But I think the artist expresses himself, particularly in the West, in an evocative way, and I think that he was asking us to look at a problem. It is a problem that exists within the Muslim community, and that is domestic violence. It's the abuse of women. It's in the non-Muslim peoples of other faiths suffer from this problem as well. And I think it's very tragic to me that he lost his life. I think he said some very crude things about Islam that were very unfortunate. I would have liked to have been able to speak to him and maybe see where he was coming from, what were his experiences. I would say the same thing about the Somali lady. Instead of killing her, I would want to dialogue with her, just ask her what happened. You know, what is it in Islam that's so ugly to you? Because it's a religion that I see immense beauty in. I see, unfortunately, ugly acts that emanate from Muslims, but I don't think that represents Islam or the essence of Islam. And I think it's tragic and dangerous because Holland represents some of the highest ideals in European civilization of tolerance.
We started with George W. Bush. We have George Bush just re-elected. Some people, the apocalyptic view is that we see a holy war taking shape. The religious Christian right helped to get Bush re-elected. He is an openly religious man. When he was asked if he'd discussed invading Iraq with his father, George H.W. Bush, he said, "No, I spoke to a higher father," meaning God. Do we see the beginning of these two huge theocracies, America and Islam, the shape of a holy war?
Well, what I find really intriguing is that most of the Muslim countries are led by secular regimes that really have almost nothing to do with religion whatsoever. And I think it's funny that the most supposedly secular country, I mean, England has a state faith, whereas America, we're supposed to be a secular country. So I think it's a little odd. I mean, somebody called it the clash of fundamentalisms, but I think it is a little odd. I would hope, my personal hope is that that we all need to calm down. I mean, I really believe that. We need to calm down because you cannot think rationally when you're in a state of fear. And the reason that religion needs to stay free of the political realm, except as in an advisory capacity, is that religion needs to be our human ideal. So I'd rather that we keep grumbling about our pathetic politicians as opposed to our pathetic religions.
Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much.